1, 2, there I am. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wow, this is different. Isn't it cool? It's very cool. Well, welcome again to fall. And what's this? Oh, respond with love. Look at that. Well, I got interviewed from the Courier newspaper about our little thing. It's they wanted to know what the big hubbub was about, and one of our members had mentioned that this was going on here, so they came and got a picture of our bookstore and of me with Cooper the dog, and so look for it possibly in the newspaper next Friday in the religious section. So just a little shout out for Respond with Love, you know, and I've been noticing that lately I've kind of had to respond with tough love. You know what I mean? I mean, just depending on the situation, don't see me responding with love as a weakness, because it's a strength, right? Because we know that love is the glue that holds all things together. And if you don't have love in it, then it got nothing in it. You know what I'm saying? So today's talk is entitled Renewing Your Harvest. Fall is the time when God renews nature on the inside. You know, spring, we see it everywhere. You know, flowers abound. Now we get to see it in the form of leaves on the ground, right? We go within and we start to, you know, build a fire in our heart. And we sit by that fire with a cup of soup or a nice spotted tea. And we look at our lives in a different way, because as the earth goes through cycles, we go through cycles, don't we? Yeah. The season pushes us back into our caves, doesn't it? So it's time to go inside. Have you ever questioned your faith? Of course, we all have. There's been times that bring us to really look at why we believe what we believe and how it can serve us, especially sometimes when we're walking through the valley of the shadow of darkness. Sometimes we can go, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel so empty sometimes? You know, this isn't a type of teaching where we just never feel challenged or never feel bad about something. It's just that we approach it differently. If we approach it from what is this telling me? How can I learn something to be a better person in the world? Then we're getting something out of our challenge. Have you ever felt like you were helpless? Like, you know, something that's happening to you can sometimes feel bigger than what you are. And it happens. So I would invite you to think about what brought you into this teaching. What was it that made you look at your life in a different way? Or who invited you into this teaching? And what was it that was working in their life that they wanted to share with you in a way? Now, I will admit that you come in through two different doors, inspiration or desperation. I was so desperate that I was inspired to do this because something happened in my life that made me really look at what I was doing. Remember that feeling you first had when you were inspired to move in a different direction and you had the faith to do it? And you didn't really know what the outcome was going to be, but you moved in that way anyway. You said, you know what? I don't see how this might work out, but I'm going to walk out in faith anyway. And we need to have that. We need to have the faith of a child. Romans 12:2, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So I'd like you just to bring to mind a possible challenge where you thought things weren't going to work out, and you prayed, and something happened, and things happened for you, where there was a shift in maybe things didn't in the world change, but your perception changed. And because of your perception, everything changed. That's what this teaching is. It's a teaching of perception. It's about looking at things differently, looking at the world rightly. Just because we're in this teaching doesn't mean that life's challenges don't happen. It means that when they do, that we handle them differently. We look at them with the power that created us, rather than in our small self with a small s. We look with our big S self. Now, careful how you say that. But it's about being and knowing who you are within yourself, and knowing that you draw on the power that created you and creates worlds. And when you draw on that power, and you that there is something that happens. There is something bigger than our perception of our little self. And that is where faith comes in. So as we remember a time that we were challenged and everything worked out in the end to be okay, if we look back at those times, sometimes those can be our biggest gifts if we can see it correctly, because they gave us a quiet growth in grace and character. They allowed us to look differently at life, and that we were going to be okay no matter what happened. No matter what in the world of form happens to you, you're going to live through this. We're going to be okay. Life continues in some realm, right? This is not the beginning or the ending. This is just part of the journey. So how has God guided you in your life? It's time to lean on that power again. You know, I find myself sometimes when I'm going through fall that I have to really look at my connection to Spirit. So I've come up with some instructions to renew our hearts. Number one is pray. Right? If we can go to prayer first, we are on the road to recovery. That is what I found, the connection. When I'm challenged with something, the sooner I can go to prayer, the sooner I'm starting to feel better. You know, as a practitioner and a practitioner in training, we're taught to reach out when we have a challenge. And so I reached out when I was a practitioner in training, when something would happen, and I'd call my mentor or my practitioner prayer partner and say, this is what's going on. And they'd say, did you pray? And let me call you back. Because even as a practitioner, sometimes we get distracted. I could have prayed. I could have had a V8. But we need to go there. We need to look at the power of our connection, our faith, and we need to rely on it. We need to rely on it, and I've said this before, like we rely on our belief that when we get up in the morning, that the floor is going to be there. Does anybody question if the floor is going to be there when you get out of bed? You didn't this morning. You'd still be dancing around I hope the floor's there. But we know it's going to be there, and we get up and we move towards our morning. We need to have that same faith when we have a challenge, that something is there to guide us. But we need to go to it. It won't automatically intervene unless we invite it. If it could, we wouldn't need a teaching to learn how to understand this power. It would just automatically do it, and we would all just be animatrons because it would already influence our lives. But that's not the way that the power works. We have to get to a point where we ask this power to work on our behalf. So, what is it that you had to go through to find that power? And think about what happened once you surrendered into it. When you surrendered to win. We don't surrender out of weakness, we surrender out of strength. That the fight isn't worth it. And we give up and we move into being at one-ment. So pray to renew your faith. Affirm what you do want and draw your attention away from what you don't want. If energy flows where your attention goes, pray about what you choose to be, do, and have, and pray the prayer of divine right action. You guys know what divine right action prayer is? Well, sometimes we don't know how to pray. I go, I want this to happen, but I don't know if that's good for everybody involved. Pray for divine right action, because when you do, you give it over to that infinite power that created you, and it gets to decide how to work it all out. I know that God has a plan for each one of our lives. I know that there is a way, and I pray for that power to let me know what that way is so I can take that step, so I can make that call, so I can know that truth. So pray knowing. Get your mind off the challenge and move into the solution. Here are some great affirmations. This too is good. This too is God. And I demand to see the blessing in this right here and right now. This too is good. This too is God. And I demand to see the blessing in this right here and right now. Watch yourself when you stomp your foot at God. Just saying. Well, it definitely gets attention, but sometimes it's the more earth-shaking attention. But we know that if we truly believe that what we're going through is good, and that everything is God, there's nothing outside of God, and we call for the energy of knowing why we're walking through this, the message can be delivered. The energy can be transferred as the message. And as we know, when a message has been delivered, what happens to the messenger? It goes away. It goes away, right? It goes back into the nothingness from which it came. But we have to get the message. If we don't, a couple weeks later, it goes around again. You go, I thought I handled this. I could have sworn I dealt with this. Why is it still happening? Because there's something else to know. There's something else that needs to be revealed through this. So keep asking. Keep asking. I restore my faith and feel it now. Let's say that. I restore my faith and I feel it now. See, feeling is the divine connection. Feeling tone is the language of the infinite. The infinite doesn't just speak in words. The infinite speaks in feelings. Actually, words are a poor interpretation of feelings, as we know. When we love someone, we try to tell them that, words fall short, don't they? But feelings can be conveyed. I think that we came from a place, and we may go to a place, where language is not the normal way of communicating. Language is a byproduct of feeling. Think about it. I remove all the doubt in my mind and heart and replace it with faith. I replace my doubt with faith. That's the opposite of doubt, is faith. I believe. I don't just believe. I know. I know that I know that I know. I don't know how I know, but that's not my business. My business is just to know. Can you have that sort of faith in your life for what you choose to be, do, and have? Here's a short one that I love. I still believe in love. I still believe in love. Love is the glue that holds everything together. And my friends, if we can put love into everything that we do, if we can respond with love, we're already there. Everything else will attract itself to that love. When the scientists look within the molecule and try to figure out what holds it all together, they've come back with the answer. It's love. For some reason, love's doing that, so it does it. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know how to do brain surgery. There are people that know that. But I know how to love, don't we? Don't we know how to love? When you see a beautiful animal, don't you just intrinsically have a connection to it? Or a flower? What is in the rose that makes it beautiful? You know what it is? It's the fragrance. There's something within you that sees itself within that flower, whatever your favorite flower is, and it says, I love you. And you say, I love you back. That's the divine connection. So look for that in the next week. Look for your divine connection. And take a second, just a second, to go, this is the connection. This is the divine oneness that I have looked for. You know, we go out into the world looking for something that's already within us. Because as Dr. Holmes says, what you're looking for, you are looking with. You don't have to look too far off. Number 2, look for ways to help others. What? I'm going to step outside myself and help somebody else? Sometimes being reminded of how blessed we are helps us to see our circumstances as not quite so bleak. And it renews our faith. Count your blessings, not your challenges. There's the story of this mentor that was working with a challenged person, and they were having a very hard day, and things were not going right for them. And the mentor said, I want you to put me on hold, put the phone down, and go out into your community, look around, and find something you can do for somebody else. And the person said, I don't know what that would be. He said, well, look around. Just go outside your house and look around. He says, well, I can see a neighbor's porch, and there's a bunch of papers and dirt and stuff. And he said, okay, I'm going to hold on. I want you to run over there with your broom, pick it up, clean it up, and make it look better, and then come back. And about 10 or 15 minutes went by, and the gentleman ran back to the phone and said, I've done it. I cleaned the porch. I feel so much better. Why? For that few minutes, he forgot about what his own challenge was, and he did something in the world that helped somebody else. That's all we need to do. is put down your challenge so the infinite can figure it out for you. You know, we think that we know the best way, so we try to figure it out. And we do this and we do that. And we keep making it more challenging. There you go.
I got so carried away listening.
Of course, well. But that's what we need to do, is drop our challenges. Don't we? Can you drop it and let it go? It's simple. Sometimes it actually falls out of your hand when there's nothing else you can do. And that's when we need to look at it differently and go, you know what? Maybe I need to make a call. Just make a call. Pick up the phone. Randomly call someone and say, I love you. Freaks you out a little bit, you know. Well, I don't know this person. Yeah, but you know that everything, what we teach here is there's only one of us here. It's all source energy. As the countless numbers of expressions that we all are. So you can't dial the wrong number. It's all God. Right?
Yeah, the God on the other end may not understand.
They may not understand that. They may go, who's this now? Maybe you want to block your number before you call somebody so they can't get back to you. But you know what? It's really about reaching out and responding with love in a way that makes sense to you. Just think of some little thing that you can do for someone else. So number 3, remember the things you know to be true about God. Read some truth, wherever you choose to find it. Maybe it's the Bible for you. Maybe it's the Science of Mind textbook for you. Maybe it's walking in nature for you. Take a class, join a study group, get into community, and start sharing your ideas and listening to other people's ideas. That's how we begin to be one again. You know, there's a great cry going out right now from the universe. Have you turned on your TV? Have you heard the cry? Have you heard the great prayer request? There's only one of us here. So if you're arguing with anybody, you're arguing with yourself. When you've won an argument, we need to fall silent. Right? Because there's no arguing against yourself. Just respond with love. Start sending love. And at some point, those that are arguing with themselves will either get it or move on to someone else who will argue with them. Let them go. God bless them on their way. Everyone blesses our lives. Some coming in and some leaving. Or as my teacher used to say, your good is elsewhere. Go there quickly. Think about it. Say, what? Number 4, accept the fact that at times this world can be a challenging place. It's not all rainbows and golden brick roads and unicorns, but it can be if we perceive it differently. If we make something beautiful out of the challenges that we're brought. I remember I was going through a particularly big challenge, and my mentor said, can you thank the infinite for this challenge? And I was like, thank the infinite for this challenge? Do you understand what I'm going through? Do you even hear the pain that I'm... He says, yes, but if you're going to be cursing this, and the infinite only responds to what you give it, and it gives you back what you are putting out, you're perpetuating your own challenge. I was like, let me think about this for a second. Wait. So if I reverse the energy and start saying, Thank you for what I do have. And being in gratitude for what I do have, the infinite begins to create that gratitude in my life. It's a very subtle difference, but if we can change the polarity, that's when we change our lives. But we have to see it rightly. Number 5, ask for assistance. Share your challenge with a respected friend, or call a practitioner or a minister, because everyone struggles at some point or another. Don't struggle alone. They will help you see the vast goodness of God and pray with and for you and find your way back to wholeness. You don't need to walk through your challenge alone. Boy, I was such a martyr. I can do this alone. I want to be alone. Leave me alone. For those of you that know the movie. But think about it. If you feel alone, what hope is there for you? If the mind that you have was the mind that attracted the challenge, and you're still in that mindset, what will be your next experience? Same song, different verse, a little bit louder, a little bit worse. We need to look at it differently. And calling in someone who is versed in positive awareness, who's not invested in our particular challenge, can say, absolutely, I will know that truth with and for you. Absolutely, let's talk about this so that we may move through this in a way that makes sense. It's okay to feel challenged, but don't isolate, because then you get more challenged. If you isolated when you were lost, you would never be found. If you weren't open to someone helping you get found, you'd still be lost. But at some point, the crack in our armor is open just enough that the light can come in and we can crawl out from under it and ask for assistance, okay? It's okay to ask for help. Please do. So I want to leave you with one of my favorite poems, writings, and this is called The Moments of My High Resolve, and it's For the Inward Journey by Howard Thurman. And it's just a great thing to think about during the fall season, or all seasons, but just enjoy this as I read it to you. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, despite the dullness and the barrenness of the days that pass. I will search with due diligence. I can always find a deposit left by some former radiance, but I had forgotten. At times it was fully orbed, glorious and resplendent. I was sure that I would never forget it. In the moment of its fullness, I was sure that it would illumine my path for the rest of my journey. But I had forgotten how easy it is to forget. There was no intent to betray what seemed so sure at the time. My response was whole, clean, authentic. But little by little, crept into my life the dust and the grit of the journey. Details, lower level demands, all kinds of cross currents. Nothing momentous, nothing overwhelming, nothing flagrant. Just wear and tear. If there had been some direct challenge, a clear-cut issue, I would have fought it to the end and beyond. In the quietness of this place, surrounded by the all-pervading presence of God, my heart whispers, keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve, that in fair weather or in foul, in good times or in tempest, in the days when the darkness and the foe are nameless or familiar, I may not forget that which my life is committed. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Again, that's by Howard Thurman for The Inward Journey. So in conclusion, what brought you into this teaching? What is it that you're looking for? Because you're looking with it. I urge you to become a finder, not just a seeker, because you found it. This is the secret. You don't need to keep searching, but we do need to keep developing. And so it is. So let's follow our teaching and go within. So I invite you to close your eyes or take a soft focus on the candles or the flowers, or just be still in your mind for a moment and connect with what you believe the source energy is for you. You can call it Christ consciousness, Jesus the Christ, the goddess energy, the great spirit, the source energy. Whatever is your name is your business. But I think we can agree that there is a power that is on. It is animating all that is. And that as we connect with that power of love, that power of animation, that something is happening. As we move in consciousness to what our blessing is, letting go of our grasp upon what doesn't work anymore, we open ourselves to the healing essence of the divine right action in life. We allow and invite in that power that knows us so well that it brings exactly what is needed in all situations, be it health or abundance or relationship or business or anything. We know that that power that creates worlds is active right here and right now in this moment. And as we invite it in and say, yes, God, I have faith that something wonderful can happen and is happening right now, that the floodgates are now open. We flip the divine switch to the on position and allow the divine circuits to naturally flow into the healing essence of all that we are. So we claim that healing right now. We say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Divine love of life, for creating an avenue through which the healing, the revealing of truth, the new ideas, the blessings can flow. And as we move that energy around, we become magnetic energetics of healing, of love, of power, and of grace. So we let go. We completely release these ideas into that living, loving law of mind where that magic happens. We let it do its divine work as we release our attachment to any thing that may have previously clouded our vision. And we move into the divine right action of this moment. So I let go. I let God be God in every situation, knowing it is already there, as we affirm it together by saying, and so it is. Amen. Okay.